Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Meteorologist John Homenuk here with Empire Weather. Latest tropical weather update for you today, and obviously the focus is on Hurricane Ian, which is currently emerging off the coast of Cuba. We have seen very little weakening from this system as it moved through Cuba and now is heading back over the open waters of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. This storm starting to take on the appearance of a more classic hurricane, and one that could strengthen continuously here over the next pretty much 12 to 24 hours. Models are in good agreement that this storm is going to continue moving to the north and slightly west of north here over the next 12 to 24 hours, and then begin a curve in closer to the coast of the west coast of Florida. And that's when the problems are going to begin when it comes to Ian, and there's going to be quite a possibility of severe impacts across the west coast of Florida. Let's dive into it. And the first thing that comes really into focus here is how much better agreement we now have on forecast models. This is just the European ensemble, but we see good agreement on the fact that this system is going to strengthen into a major hurricane as it moves off to the north and east here over the next 12 hours, 24 hours. And then as we move into Wednesday, you see this storm system approaching the area just south of Tampa. You can see where the Tampa area is here. Look at the curve into the east here. Some models are a little faster, bringing this storm into central Florida. Others are slower, keeping it off the coast. That's the main difference in uncertainty at this point. If we look at the operational European, though, we can get an idea as to what is causing this. So here comes Ian moving northward, and then turning a little to the north and east. It's getting steered a little bit by the frontal boundary, which is left behind from this system. So you're getting a little bit of a easterly turn as it moves off to the north and east. But what's building north of Ian is this large, vast area of high pressure, and that's coming over the top of this storm system very quickly. And so there's a couple reasons why that's bad news. First of all, this storm did not have enough time to escape out to sea fast. And it's tucked itself into the eastern Gulf. So that's the first bad news. Second of all, now that this high pressure is building overhead, your steering flow around this storm slows down considerably. The storm is being blocked from the north, and you have a tremendous amount of tropical moisture and obviously a ton of energy associated with the storm system itself that's pushing northward towards the Florida coast. So you have a ton of moisture. You have a very favorable environment for this system to strengthen here as it develops off the coast of Florida. And then to make matters even worse, you have a strong high pressure building in overhead over the top of this storm. And that's the recipe for some major, major problems. Zooming in on Florida, this is valid on Wednesday morning. So here comes the storm system moving in. We already have widespread heavy rains occurring outside of the core of this system. Here's the system itself, and where you'll likely see the actual your classic hurricane. In fact, we could probably use a simulated infrared satellite here. Yeah, here's the hurricane moving northward, right? But if we look at what the model is showing and suggesting in terms of impacts and precipitation, there's quite a bit of heavy rainfall occurring here in this part of central Florida way before the system even makes it there. And then as it gradually moves northward, it slows almost to a complete stall because of that high pressure that we had discussed earlier, which is essentially blocking the exit of this system and stopping the northward movement. So the system moves like this, and then it just stops. It almost comes to a complete stop because of that high pressure. So this was just for an example. This is valid at 2 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, and this is valid in the early morning hours of Thursday. And this system has barely moved, and it comes to a stop almost just south of the Tampa Bay area here. Needless to say, this would be a very bad situation for many reasons. First of all, we have the angle of approach. If we look at the surface winds here and pull up the wind speeds, you can see that the storm is driving water here northward. There's going to be a ton of storm surge water coming up here as this occurs. But second of all, and again, even with the system just stopping here, you're still getting water piling in, right, around the flow of this low pressure system. Second of all, we have a tremendous amount of tropical moisture that's just pooling in. And so the models are showing this unbelievable swath of rainfall here as a result of that. We have additional heavy rains here, but near and just away from the center of the storm system. We have a simulation for widespread area of torrential rain. In fact, if we zoom in on a city view and look at the Tampa area in particular, we're seeing forecasts for over 20 inches of rainfall in some areas, even more than that along the coast and even inland here a little bit further to the north. And so, in many situations, this would be something where we'd probably look at the models and say, all right, they're likely overdoing this a little bit. This is a tropical system. We're seeing rainfall totals that are too high. But I want to show you something. First of all, here's GFS model as an example, which has, again, 20 to 30 inches of rain, higher than that in some areas. This one's showing 50. Here's the Canadian model from last night, also showing tremendous amounts of rain in this area. And so the signal, you start to tell yourself, wait a second, is this really that crazy? And the answer is no, because you have a ton of tropical moisture moving northward, and you have a huge high pressure here, essentially building a wall and not allowing that moisture to go anywhere. It just sits and kind of dumps out right on top of this area. And so if we go back to the European model and look at the overall expectations with this, it's not that crazy to think that this could be a absolutely huge, devastating rainfall event, especially when you consider the storm surge and the tropical winds that will also be involved with this system as it moves in and wreaks havoc on the area here over the next couple of days. So there's going to be obviously a very detail-oriented part of this forecast where it's going to be hard to pin down exactly where this storm will curve in. Some models are a little further north, taking it a little bit north of Tampa. Some models are taking it a little bit south of there. And so that's going to have to be watched, obviously, very closely in the next couple of days. Jumping over to the radar and looking at the storm right now, you can see the system really has not been affected that much by Cuba. It's reemerged here from Cuba, and it's making its track back into the Gulf. And zooming out and looking at the rainfall that's occurring with this storm, we can see that swath of rain. This is what the models had been showing. Way out ahead of the actual core of the storm, we have these bands of rain that are already moving in. And these will make their way north and eastward into Florida here over the next couple of hours here into Tuesday night and then Wednesday. And you see that rainfall expanding on the European model, and then there's that northeast turn on the European model just south of the Tampa Bay area. This storm system makes its way in, and obviously not a good situation for a vast majority of Florida here as we move through the next couple of days. So we'll have to watch very closely exactly how that evolves. Now, if we back up just for a second and look at what's going on from the U.S. perspective, despite this system, the rest of the United States is very quiet. We have a high pressure in control here through the end of the week. And you can see that high pressure really initially prevents the northward movement of this precipitation. But as we move into Friday, the system will make some northward inroads. And you can see that happening here. There's a lot of moisture here with this system. And so eventually, Friday afternoon, we're likely going to see this tropical moisture begin to shift northward. So that's going to bring rains to parts of Georgia, parts of Alabama, to parts of South Carolina and North Carolina, all along the coast here. And you can see that rainfall shifting inland here gradually as we move into the weekend. Now, by Saturday, European model says this storm really has moved quite far northward into Georgia, and we have bands of rain extending all the way up into Tennessee and Kentucky, as well as southern Ohio, reaching the mid-Atlantic states, and showers and storms continuing all throughout the southeast United States as well. And then as we move into later Saturday and Sunday, the storm begins to spin itself out as an upper-level low across parts of the Tennessee, Ohio Valley this weekend, with some additional rain along the coast of New Jersey and the mid-Atlantic states. So eventually this storm system will battle with this high pressure. You can see the high pressure system to the north kind of battling the system's northward extent. But this is a big tropical system. It'll be a remnant storm by the time it gets up here, but it does look like there will be some impacts, at least from this, as it moves northward into the southeast states, especially looking at the possibility of some severe weather in the coastal Carolinas on Friday. But then this will move inland into the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, as well as the mid-Atlantic states during the weekend that is ahead, bringing some unsettled weather there as well. We'll have to pin down the details of exactly how that's going to evolve as this system kind of spins itself out over that area over the weekend. Obviously, if you are in Florida or you're in the southeast United States, stay tuned to the forecast over the next couple of hours and the next couple of days. If you have any questions or you would like us to give you a more detailed briefing and you're in the area, we're happy to help. Reach out to us. We're happy to dive into it for you guys and provide as much insight as we possibly can. Otherwise, we'll be back with another update on Wednesday morning. Stay tuned to the latest forecast and the National Hurricane Center, obviously, and we will have future briefings out today as well for our clients in the area. Have a wonderful Tuesday morning. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.